Hi everyone. If you've been thinking about immigrating to Canada as a permanent resident and don't know what to do, don't know whether or not you would be eligible to apply, or don't know what to do next, this might just be the video you were looking for. Before we get into it, a little bit about myself. I moved to Canada last year and I moved through the express entry stream, and I carried out all the processes in the application on my own without going through an immigration consultant. And I've helped out a lot of people in their immigration journey to Canada. Before I go any further, though, I need to add that I am not a lawyer or an immigration consultant. I am only making this video so that others can benefit from my experience. Now, let's get right to it. The first step would be to calculate your score through the comprehensive ranking system, also known as the CRS tool. So, how do we get there? Just a simple Google search saying CRS Canada. The first step takes you to the website and right to the tool. All right. So, as you can see, this is the comprehensive ranking system to calculate your score as a skilled immigrant in the express entry stream of immigration. All right. What you'll ask What you'll be entering here is a bunch of information pertaining to your skills, your education, your language ability, work experience, and other factors. Keep in mind that this is not creating your profile, you're not providing any personal information, you're not putting your name anywhere. This is just putting a bunch of different factors in to be able to calculate a score. So, inputting a bunch of different variables to get an output. That's about it. So, let's start with the first question. What is your marital status? Are you single? Are you divorced? Are you married? So go ahead and pick the option that explains your life situation. How old are you? Go ahead and input your age. What is your level of education? Your level of education could have either been through a Canadian degree, diploma, or certificate, or if you're outside Canada right now and you got your education outside of Canada and you got your degrees outside of Canada, go ahead and input your highest level of education that you've earned. Now, keep in mind that if you are outside of Canada right now, you will need an educational credential assessment to prove that your bachelor's degree or your master's degree that you earned outside of Canada is actually equivalent to a bachelor's or a master's degree in Canada, right? So we'll talk about that in a different video. For now, just go ahead and pick your highest level of education earned. So let's say you have a master's degree. Let's put that in. Okay. Next question. Have you earned a Canadian degree, diploma, or certificate? So that could either be the degree that you've picked in the previous step or any degree. So, have you ever studied and earned a Canadian degree, diploma, or certificate inside of Canada? Chances are that for most of you, the answer to this question is going to be no. But again, pick whatever describes your life situation. Official languages of Canada has two official languages, English and French, and you need to be able to demonstrate that you know either one of the two languages to an extent that when you do come to Canada and when you do move to Canada as a permanent resident, you will be able to get around and you'll be able to speak, read, write, and listen to basic English or French. So you need to answer the question, are your test results less than 2 years old? For a lot of you who are just watching this video to get information and who have not taken this test yet, you still pick yes so that you're able to simulate what your CRS score would look like if you were to get your expected scores in one of these tests that we'll just talk about. So go ahead and click yes in the first question. The next one is, which language test did you take for your first official language? We have a bunch of different options here. So there's the CELPIP, there's the IELTS, there's the TEF Canada, and the TCF Canada. I personally took the CELPIP, which is an English test that covers 4 sections. However, if you are outside of North America, chances are that most likely you'll be taking the IELTS, or you would have taken the IELTS, which again is an English test that covers the listening, speaking, reading, and writing sections. So go ahead and pick this test and then enter your test scores. So if you've already taken the test, great, go ahead and put in whatever you got as your result. If you haven't, try and best guess based on your language abilities of what that test might look like or what that test score might look like. So for speaking, for example, let's put in a 7. For listening, let's put in an 8. Reading, 7 to 7.5. As you may have noticed, I'm picking the second highest category in each of these bands. All right. So that's that. You put in your test results. Then the next question is, do you have any other language results? In my case, the answer was no. I just took the CELPIP. I just took one English test. If you do have a French test as well, go ahead and pick that. If not, pick not applicable. All right. Going to the next question. In the last 10 years, how many years of skilled work experience in Canada do you have? Pay attention to the keyword in Canada. Now, chances are if you are if you're currently outside of Canada, if you have not taken this, if you've not worked in this country before, the answer to this question would be no, none or less than a year. So that's a 0, right? So you've not come to Canada, you haven't worked in Canada. The answer to this is a none or less than a year. Again, if you're somebody who's applying from inside Canada and if you already have some work experience here, pick the option that describes your life situation the best. Okay. Next question. In the last 10 years, how many years of foreign skilled work experience do you have? It must have been paid full time and only in one occupation. So we'll talk about the skilled work job codes, the national occupation calculation in a different video. But for now, just pick the number of years for which you do have full time paid work experience. So let's say I put 3 years or more. The next, do you have a certificate or of qualification from a Canadian province, territory, or federal body? I did not. And I'm going to pick no, depending on what your situation is. Go ahead and pick the answer that describes your situation. Chances are for most of you, this will be no as well. All right, additional points. Do you have a valid job offer supported by a labor market impact assessment? I'm going to go ahead and click no. Do you have a nomination certificate from province or territory? That's going to be no as well. Do you or your spouse or common law partner, if they will come with you to Canada, have at least one brother or sister living in Canada who is a citizen or permanent resident? So what this is saying is, do you have any immediate family? So either brother or sister related by blood, right? By blood, marriage, common law, partnership, or adoption, who's already in Canada as a citizen or PR. So basically, this is asking, do you already have family in Canada? For me, the answer was no. Depending on what your situation is, pick that answer and then calculate your score. All right. So you calculate your score, it tells you all the points that you've got in each of the categories. And if you scroll to the very bottom, that's where you're going to get your grand total. Now, that's the score you care about. This score may vary depending on how much you actually score in your language tests. If you've, put in expected scores up above and you haven't received your IELTS test scores yet. So this may fluctuate depending on your situation. Also keep in mind that as your age increases, this score may go down as well. So let's say if your birthday is right around the corner, your age increases, you probably will lose a few points. So once you have your score, the next step is to calculate, or the next step is to see where do you stand. So I'll go ahead and put in express entry rounds of invitation and then click on the first link, express entry rounds of invitation at canada.ca. So this is the official website. that tells you all about the Canadian government's draws that happen from time to time. Usually they happen on a 2 week time frame. That can vary as well. All right, so looking at the most recent round of invitation, this happened on June 25th, 2020. The government issued 3,508 invitations. However, these pertain to the Canadian experience class, which is basically for people who do have work experience in Canada. So sometimes the Canadian government limits their rounds of invitation to a particular class. So let's look at the previous rounds to see those for the federal skilled workers category. So here we can see the previous rounds of invitation issued by the Canadian government. Some will pertain to the provincial nominee class, others will pertain to the Canadian experience class. However, there are categories or there were draws in which no class was, no program was specified. Right? So March 4th, right before the COVID lockdown, we had a draw where no program was specified, and we had a CRS score of 471, right? So this is just to give you an idea. So the score that we calculated back in our CRS tool was 469. Here it's 471. So that should give you an idea of whether or not you are in the ballpark of applying. Let's say, this would, looking at these numbers here, I would go ahead and apply. But let's say if your score calculated through the CRS tool was much, much lower, let's say if you had a score of 400, then I would say the express entry category is probably not right for you. And in those cases, I would then say, probably look at some other category, or maybe get in touch with an immigration consultant to see how you can go about coming to Canada and if you can leverage one of the other streams. All right, so that's all I had for today. To recap, what we did was we went on to Google, we said CRS Canada, went to the CRS tool right here, put in all the information to be able to calculate a grand total score to see where we stand, and then go on to the express entry rounds of invitation to be able to see in the past couple of months, see what the score has been, and see how your score that you just calculated compares to what's here. Let me know once you've calculated your score and whether or not you're interested in going ahead with express entry. If you are, I'll be happy to walk you through my experiences, because when I applied for my PR, I did everything on my own. I did not go through an immigration consultant or anything along those lines. So I'm here, happy to help. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much.